Hello and welcome to My Mom's Basement, presented by Barstool Sports. It is Robbie Fox and Clem back for another Penguin recap edition of My Mom's Basement, where, as always, at the end, we will recap Agatha All Along, or at least I will recap Agatha All Along, and I will basically tell Clem what happened this week, as we're doing every week. Clem, how we doing?
Doing good, Bobo. Doing good. Where me and you are in a playoff gutter war right now, LCSs respectively. That could be the thing that tears apart the basement. I'm already on the record.
The potential Subway series could tear apart the basement.
Yeah, you're already on the record saying you hope the Mets lost, like would have been an absolute crushing elimination game that was like 7 elimination games ago for us. So once if our teams go head to head in that kind of stuff, I don't even want to know where we'll end up. So
I honestly kind of hope they do go head to head. I want the Subway series for the basement. I'm afraid of what it could do, but I'm also excited for the potential of, the content, the streams, the New York aliens, as they're calling them, versus I don't even know what you would call the Yankee fans in the office. So a lot of us are kind of nerds. I hope
they call you guys the dweebs, the nerds. That's kind of like the Yankees, which is crazy because I grew up with the Gabagool Yankee fans, the Bleacher Creatures, another set of aliens in their own right. And now what Yankees fans have become, it's wild. It's wild to see from the outside looking in, but we're here. And you know what? We could all unite about a different city, Gotham, based on New York, and how fucking good this show is.
It's fucking amazing. It just keeps getting better. Week to week, it's like, how can the Penguin get better? You hear, they're doing a flashback episode. Generally in television, you kind of roll your eyes with the I'm sorry, with the Bloghorn, Tate's here, he's doing a whole thing. You might also hear The Office is a buzz over a sandwich, Clem. Over a sandwich. We're going to get to the Penguin. We're going to get off topic for just a minute, because yesterday was Grandpa Della Bella Day. When my Grandpa Della Bella passed, my mom said, let's celebrate his life, her father. Let's celebrate his life every year on that date. We'll call it Grandpa Della Bella Day. So I wake up yesterday. My mom sent everyone in the family a nice little Venmo and said, get yourself something on Grandpa. So I said, what can I do to, spend this money and honor my Italian-ass grandfather? And I went over to Italy in New York City, a little mom and pop shop, Italy. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. And I got my favorite sandwich in the city. It's a prime rib sandwich, literally just meat on bread. And it's phenomenal. It's like a $30 sandwich, which sounds crazy, I'm sure, to people not from New York as well. But it always lives up to the hype. Every time I've gotten it, I've been like, that was worth the $30 I spent on it. So I took a picture of my sandwich yesterday. I tweeted it. Clem, it went viral. 5 million views. Dave was quote tweeting it. Everyone in the office is coming over to my desk just to take a glimpse at the sandwich. I had to go back today, right before we started this podcast. The whole office said, we want to go to Italy with the prime rib guy. So I took everyone from the office. We went there, and they have sold out of the bread that the prime rib sandwich comes on. They said, we've been hearing about the tweet all day. We're more busy than usual. 2 guys online said, we're here because of the tweet. And they were upset because they don't have the normal bread. They put it on the focaccia today, which is actually very good. I said, the comic book fan in me was like, it's a variant. We're getting a variant cover of the prime rib sandwich. But it's still delicious. You're there for the meat. The bread is an added bonus, the nice golden toasted bread. But yeah, I'm now the viral prime rib guy. Tommy Smoke said there's a non-zero chance that I'm going to be on the news tonight.
Yes, that is true. How amazing would it be if they renamed the prime rib sandwich the Papa Della Bella? That would be
be amazing.
And think of the butterfly effect of how everything went in motion for Mama Fox to honor his memory, and then it gets honored by naming an absolute banger of a sandwich, which every Italian man dreams of. I got a sandwich named after me at the Wooden Spoon in New Rochelle. Shout out Captain Conti's boy. It was bucket list. That's number 1 on my bucket list, and I was able to cross that off. It's one of the perks of Barstool. If we could name it post-mortem after Papa Della Bella,
it'd be amazing.
Now I will say this. I would be so fucking mad if that was my go-to sandwich and I saved it. It was my birthday. I went out for lunch and I found out the bread was not the same. And Bob, I'm going to politely disagree with you there. The bread in a great sandwich is 1A or 1B at worst to the meat, no matter how good the meat is, because that bread, I imagine, I've never had it. I've been thinking about this fucking tweet since you tweeted it out, and I'm going to try to go on Friday when I plan to be in the office. But that's all I've been thinking of. I need to have the OG sandwich, though. My buddy Joe Lightning went, who we've talked about a million times on different podcasts. He took a subway ride across town, went there. Big foodie is 100% worth it. He got the mozz on it, though. You don't get mozz on it.
Yeah. No, I get it plain, but everyone is saying if you add some fresh mutts, if you add the horseradish sauce, people are saying maybe some aioli to dip in. I'm
Mm-hmm.
fine with all that.
Or
I'm
juice.
more of a plain guy. Yeah, exactly. They wanted some of that. I'm fine with a very plain sandwich. Generally, when I order stuff, I take toppings off. I'm kind of a meat and bread guy. So this is the perfect sandwich. The only issue is it's the Joe Exotic meme. Like, I will never financially recover from being the prime rib guy. People are saying, do the prime rib tweet like it's Dana Beers doing the beer tweet. It doesn't cost him $30 to do a beer tweet. So,
Yeah.
Italy, listen, I've given a lot of free press. I would love like a gift card. I'm not even asking for like free for life. Maybe just a free prime rib. I'd like that.
One free prime rib and name it after Papa Delabella. That's all we're asking.
I would
all
even rather them do it the Delabella special or something, and then, whatever.
I'll give them a $50 gift card to the Barstool Sports Store if they name it after Papa Delabella. They could make money on this deal if they make it all happen.
I mean, I was expecting a line out the door today with how this tweet popped off. We'll see, what the future holds. Maybe they'll cater my wedding. That'd be nice. I've been throwing a lot of things out there into the universe that just happen. They've been coming true. I've had a lot of luck this year. So I'm going to throw that out into the universe as well.
And I can only imagine your mentions. I had some hardo got in my mentions about quote tweeting, being like, only in New York would they name the best sandwich after a chain. Shut the fuck. I just want to say this to all the internet haters, because I just do the mute button now every time I deal with someone I don't like. Shut the fuck up. Try the sandwich. You like it, you like it. You don't, you don't. People seem to think it's pretty fucking good. And our boy Large has somehow never had it. I plan on going with him next time I'm in the office. I am dying with anticipation for it, though.
All right, so let's get into the Penguin. We're going to tell everyone about game time first, and then we'll get into the meat of why you're here. How about that?
Hey.
Game time, the best sponsor in the business. We love getting out to live events, whether it's a concert, football game, comedy show. We always use Game Time. It's the official ticketing partner of Barstool Sports. And now with their Game Time Picks feature, it makes it even easier to get to a game. We've told you about this. If you go to the site, they've got the GT Picks option, and they show all of the best seats, the lowest prices. You don't have to sift through thousands of options. They'll tell you exactly where you want to sit for the event. They've got a bunch of stuff coming up. I know some people in the office, I think Kelly and G are flying to Miami because the Eras Tour is finishing their run in Miami. Dave will be there as well. Taylor Swift is going to NOLA. Usher is in Atlanta, Georgia coming up soon. Billie Eilish at MSG this week. There's a lot of amazing events on Game Time right now. Clem, are you going to an event on Game Time soon?
I sure am. But Sunday, New York Football Giants versus Eagles in MetLife Stadium. The Saquon revenge game. Is he getting revenge on the Giants for being bad forever? Are they getting revenge on him for leaving, going to division rival? We shall find out. But I'll be going thanks to Game Time. Fantastic seats. Best prices in the biz.
And they took the guesswork out of buying those tickets for Clem. You just download the Game Time app, you create an account, and use the promo code MMB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply, but again, redeem that promo code MMB once you create an account. Game Time tickets are so cheap that $20 off, you're taking a significant percentage of the ticket price off, even if you've got great seats. So download the Game Time app today. What time is it? Game time.
You know what I'm going to tell you about Game Time, Bob?
What's that?
Say Game Time is a good ticketing app.
Game Time is a good ticketing app.
Not good, the best. I gotta do.
You give us a little Oz Cobb, yeah. And let's talk about Oz Cobb, because as we teased at the beginning of this podcast, episode 4 of The Penguin, outrageously good. I said you fear flashback episodes, especially Book of Boba Fett on this podcast. You fear a Bacta tank, a flash Bacta tank. They took a flashback origin story episode. They made it my favorite episode of the series so far, one of the best flashback episodes I've ever seen. And they've taken Sofia Falcone, the Hangman from the Long Halloween comics. She's got roles in comics, Dark Victory here and there, but she's never been like a main Batman villain. Kristen Milioti, I think that's how you say her last name, has played this character so well and stolen every scene she's in, to the point where I think she's one of the more compelling Batman characters we've seen in quite some time. Even the fact that they gave us a little bit of Oz Cobb this week, but not a ton. The fact that they took it away from him and still made it as good and as compelling and as captivating as they did this week blew my mind. Every scene got better than the next. They showed us a lot of different sides of Gotham this week. We opened with, a very bright, like gala fundraiser event in Gotham. Doesn't look like it normally does. And then as the episode progresses, it gets darker and darker. and dare I say scarier, because Arkham Asylum hasn't been that scary since Grant Morrison wrote the fucking comic. Insane.
I said this, I think it was like our first episode when we were talking about some of the reviews that had come out, and I said the best thing that can happen, what I hope happens, is that, and I have to just get her name right here. It's Christina Milioti, right? Miliotti?
I think it's Kristen
Milioti. I'll figure it out. Regardless,
we'll figure it out. Yeah, out of respect to her, we'll figure it out.
That is how good this show is I have to no longer call her the mother from How I Met Your Mother. I have to no longer call her the girl from Palm Springs, which everyone always says. I always think it's so funny. Everyone always goes, what's the best comedy of the 2020s? Because it does feel like comedies have gotten kind of dusted, like thrown on the shelf by Hollywood because they don't make enough money and because everyone you get canceled for any inappropriate joke, it seems. And Palm Springs is always the best one. She's awesome in that. It's basically a Groundhog Day movie. But I think I said the best case scenario that I could say with the show is I will look at her as Sofia Falcone more than the mother or the girl from Palm Springs. And I'll learn how to pronounce her name. And you know what? We're on path for that happening. And this episode was the absolute hammer. This is for your consideration to the Emmys. I'm going to say she deserves an Emmy, even though I don't watch any other TV shows that might be even nominated. But you can just say shit like that on the internet and people might click your blog or read your post or listen to your podcast. So that's what we're going to do. Christina Milioti. God damn it. I don't know her name.
Kristen. Yeah.
Kristen. I'm good. All right. Sofia Falcone deserves an Emmy. We're going to just call her Sofia Falcone. It's like, again, I said it was like Tommy Carcetti becoming Littlefinger from The Wire into Game of Thrones. She's now Sofia Falcone. That's almost so much respect I'm putting on her. I'm not even going with her name right now. So Sofia Falcone deserves an Emmy. This show probably deserves an Emmy. Colin Farrell deserves an Emmy. We deserve an Emmy for podcasting so well. Everyone gets Emmys. Emmys for everybody. The old Oprah meme.
And this doesn't only make me love the actress that plays Sophia more, it makes me actually understand and appreciate the character of Sophia. It makes me appreciate Alberto a little bit. Like,
yes,
from the little we saw of Alberto in the opening episode, we were like, what a fucking dickhead. We want this guy dead. We were happy that he was killed in the first 5 minutes of the episode. And then you see, oh no, she got fucked by her family. And he was really the only one sticking by her side through all of it. So you see the episode begins with last week's conclusion from a different perspective. You get to stick with Oz and Sophia as they're being held at gunpoint and Victor's, seeing all this from afar. You see that Maroni's wife actually tells Sophia that Oz killed Alberto. And that was an oh fuck moment 2 seconds into the episode where you're like, oh my God, you feel the weight of that and how betrayed she felt, the way she played it in her eyes, the way immediately Colin Farrell is almost ignoring her, like pretending she doesn't even exist right there and still pleading with Maroni. It was so well done. Such an oh fuck moment. Her calling the therapist. It makes sense why you're going back to how she got here, because the therapist plays a big role in all of it. And he's kind of weaved in and out, but you understand why she's as cutthroat as she is and why she's kind of as, I don't want to say crazy as she is, but she was someone who did not go into Arkham very crazy. She's someone that certainly left a different person than the Sophia that went in there. And we got to shout out Mark Strong. They had to recast John Turturro's Carmine Falcone in this episode. I thought it was phenomenal. Like, you could tell he looks a little different, which still works because it's a flashback, so you could buy that he's a little younger. But he played Carmine exactly as John Turturro did. Very, very scary in just his eyes, the way he's talking to Sophia at certain points and saying, you're not right. Like, you're going crazy. What happened to my little girl? You're like, is he about to try to strangle her right now? You don't know what he's doing. You're constantly guessing. So again, there's not enough great things and compliments I could pay this episode, but Mark Strong deserves a big one.
Yeah, he gets lost in the shuffle because there was just so much stuff. And I kind of felt the same way about you. I'm going back to every podcast we've done so far, reacting to it. I'm like, it's the old Thanos. I mean, maybe I was too harsh on you, Alberto, because he was like a prick hardo. And I'm sure if I saw more of him, I would have hoped someone was going to shoot him sooner or later. But it's like most of these characters, just like dickheads and hardos in real life. Like, came from a hard family life and, you know, was addicted to a bunch of shit and was kind of just a prick. And let's be honest, Penguin is a prick. The biggest thing I think I got out of all this, especially we find out the stuff with Sofia and the stuff, the way he's treated other people and the stuff, the way he's probably going to treat Vic at some point. Like, they want you rooting for the bad guy. I'm not falling for the fucking the bait HBO. I'm already like subconsciously hating Penguin and like kind of rooting against him under the table because I know you guys are gonna throw it right back in our face. I can see it coming from a mile away. And I'm also really proud of us, Bob, for not being too hard on Sofia, because I think we could have been real hard on her, Hangman stuff, and just, you know, she was kind of like the antagonist to him for a little bit. And I'm proud of us for not jumping on it because you learn, like, she not only was like out of life, she was like a good person trying to help people and it be your own people sometimes, you know. They threw her in Arkham. It was a fucking nightmare, dude. I had to kind of like look away at some point. It was really disturbing. I couldn't do the electricity stuff. It kind of just freaked me out, man. So and then the way the character progresses too, it's like, again, this is everything we've ever wanted in basically all these comic book shows. And the best part is it doesn't lean on Batman for a minute. Obviously you have Arkham, obviously you have Penguin, but they are not central to the storyline at all in terms of being out of the comic book. It's fucking everything I've wanted, and hopefully a, you know, template for other shows to do, to make shows going forward.
It feels nice to be able to recommend this to everybody. And I have been recommending it to everybody. Like in the office, I'm like, I promise you, you don't have to like Batman. You don't have to even have seen the movie. It's going to help, of course. But Glenny Balls is watching this, loving it every week. He hasn't seen the Batman and he's fine with that. Like, it's such a good universal mob show. It just feels more like a mob show than it does a comic book show. And that's the right way to go. Like, lean on your influences. Obviously, we've talked about The Sopranos, the Breaking Bad influence, but they bring in even probably horror influences in the Arkham scenes. Like, we'll skip around a bit in talking about the episode, but just Arkham Asylum itself, when she gets in there, the score changes and it feels a little more Danny Elfman in the score. There's a lot of like piercing violins and stuff when they're doing the stuff where looking in her mouth and getting
didn't like that.
Those things. I didn't like that at all, but they make you feel as scared as she is, to the point where you get to that scene where she's at the cafeteria. She looks to her left and she's like, or her right, whatever. And she says, why is she unchained? Like, why is she unchained? And she starts having that, like, you feel the panic attack building in her. And then the fight scene happens. That lady that played the unchained crazy prisoner, holy shit, another great performance from her.
Give her an
Emmy right away, because she made me feel so scared. I was like, oh my God. And just everything about Arkham, the doctors, the way that they were manipulating even Magpie, who's an obscure Batman villain who they brought into this, a very good use of that. It wasn't just a cameo point at the screen. A lot of people probably didn't even know who Magpie was.
Hand up, I thought it was Harley Quinn at first.
I kind of thought it could have been as well, when they just show the eyes and the way she's talking.
Yeah.
But they bring you through where you start to feel paranoia. You don't know if Magpie's working for one of the doctors. And the doctors, holy fuck, they're hateable. The main doctor, Julian Rush, is a little, you don't know whether or not you could trust him. Even by the end of the episode, I didn't know whether or not Sofia liked him, trusted him, if there was something romantic there, if she was going to stab him in the heart. I didn't know what to think of Rush. But everything about Arkham, it almost felt like a different show for a little bit, but not in a bad way. You know, it just took a little environment change. Even the scene with Alberto that we saw a little bit in her dream sequence, you see like the real conversation, his panic when he realizes their dad is in the judge's fucking pockets and they're not getting a trial. It's like, you thought this was 6 months. Get ready to spend the next 10 years of your life in this hellhole. And then her breaking and her fucking slamming the head. I hesitate to just say this show's amazing. I sound like a broken record, but there wasn't a single wasted scene in this show. And we haven't even talked about a lot of the main stuff that's happened in this episode. Just that Arkham diversion was amazing.
What do we use as the fancy, like, poster quote? Like, amazing might be a little too, like, hip.
It's not good enough.
Is
amazing isn't a good enough word.
Masterpiece.
Yeah. Yes.
Like, I'm trying to think what'll get us on the season 2 poster, or the DVD or the digital thing. Breathtaking. My Mom's Basement. It's
Must
fucking
watch. I would put
must watch.
must
Yes,
watch on this.
that's a Barstool brand there. The must watch as well. Must watch, all uppercase, maybe some bold if you want to italicize it a little bit. Definitely, I am all in for that. And so when she gets thrown in Arkham, I'm thinking, oh man, we're going to get kind of that feeling of just how terrifying it is to be your first night in an insane asylum. When you're not insane, you're going to hear the people, the crying, the moaning, the laughing, the screeching. And then they're like, oh no, she's going to have someone right next to her who could see into her cell getting in her head. And then you're going to have someone who's legitimately, and the fact she notices immediately she's unchained. Why is she unchained? That's almost more horrifying than having the person come at you, is that there's something up there. Your dad has people in his pocket all over the judicial law enforcement system. And you know what? I consider that when she was unchained and going towards her, I make this analogy a lot, so forgive me if I've done it before, but it's like when you're in the ocean and there's a giant wave and you're like, it's too far out to dive through and you're too far from the beach to get in, and you're going, I'm about to get my ass kicked. And that she did, just got her ass absolutely pummeled. It was incredible. And this did one very important thing for me. It reminded me why I've never watched Oz. Because this is what I imagine Oz is like.
I haven't either, but I've heard bad things. Not, good things, but
good
bad
things.
things.
But bad things, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then the backstory of the Hangman itself, I want to talk about, because they did a very good job of not making it super predictable. But when you look back and you think of how Carmine was in the Batman, in the movie with the strangulation, like it all makes sense. It all falls into piece like a puzzle, where they go through the whole backstory of Sofia's mother hung herself. So Sofia, is starting a fundraiser charity for mental illness and stuff, which is another good theme in the Batman. They talk about his mother, Martha Wayne, having to be committed to Arkham at some point. Another thing where you're like, was she actually committed to Arkham? Now I'm second guessing that. Did Carmine have her fucking committed? Did she really have the mental health issues that they talked about in the paper and the press, whatever? But we'll get to that in the Batman too, I'm sure. They go through this whole thing where a reporter comes to Sofia and brings up these murders that have happened, or we think that they're murders, at least, because all of these women reportedly died by hanging, but their marks on their necks look more like someone choked them. Also, all of the women worked at either the Iceberg Lounge or the 44 Below, or businesses owned by Carmine. So she's implying something here. You can tell Sofia feels conflicted, where she wants to defend the family. She wants to be like, absolutely not. We're Falcones. We're fucking fine. Don't talk to reporters. Don't talk to press. None of that. At the same time, she's second guessing whether or not her mom was killed, and whether or not her mom maybe hung herself, maybe was killed. She thinks back. She sees the scratch marks in her memory on Carmine's hand. A great little detail there. And then she eventually does go and talk to the reporter. I think just for peace of mind more than anything. She didn't want to expose Carmine. She just wanted to know for herself. Unfortunately, Oz sees all of that. He, as her driver, of course, has to drive for the meetup. He tells her not to meet with reporters. She's kind of like, mind your own business. And then he goes and tells Carmine. And even that scene where she walks in, he's wearing the new suit, and she's like, what are you doing inside, Oz? And it's like, she doesn't realize it's almost the Goodfellas. Like, you don't realize you're about to get whacked, metaphorically whacked, because you're going to go to prison that night. But he's just very standoffish, he doesn't even want to look her in the eyes almost, because he just sold her out to Carmine. And then he has to give her the news, hey, your father wants to see you. And you know what that means right away.
You know what that reminds me of? It's when Roose Bolton is kind of a little off with the Starks before the Red Wedding, and then he shows her that he has the armor on, and she puts it all together. And I was like, "Oh, the Penguin, you dirty little rat, you dirty little."
That new suit is the armor. You're right.
Yeah. You're supposed to be loyal. Penguins are supposed to. Well, he hates the name Penguin, which I guess is like we're learning a lot about how he was viewed by others. Obviously, Alberto kind of shits on him, but it just makes it all the more heartbreaking. Sofia stands up for him, and granted, she could be a little tough with him, but like at the point where I think she's a very good person, and granted, she was ready to become the fucking heir to the criminal empire, but still like just a good fucking person. And it's fucking terrible, man. I had to mention this because I had heard it in our boy Heavy Spoilers breakdown. In the comic books, or at least one of the stories or whatever, I don't know how it all goes, I believe as we know, Carmine has a thing about choking women out, and
Yep.
he kills Isabella, the mom, because she was a Maroni, and she was basically sent as a spy, a Trojan horse for the Maronis to spy on him, and whether or not it was a true marriage or she was just doing it for the family, right? And so you've read that story or you've seen that?
Yes, that's confirmed. And also in the comics, Sofia is the Hangman. Like they refer to Sofia as the Hangman and stuff. Alberto has his own stuff going on in the comics as well. It's interesting because a lot of the Batman was inspired by the Long Halloween. There's like a holiday killer kills on holidays, but they took all of the stuff that they didn't use in the Batman and they kind of pushed it to the Penguin. So both properties are very inspired by this one comic, The Long Halloween, which if you haven't read it, I think is one of the best Batman comics ever written, if not the best. And we might do that for a comic book club at some point because it weaves in so well with Penguin and all of this that I think it would be fun to like maybe do that after we're done with the Penguin.
I'm looking, Bob, it's so funny you say that. As you were saying that, I looked up to see if we have like the saga book, like they had with
they got it. Yeah.
384 pages. I'm looking at it right now and I'm like, I'll just take it just for I feel like if you're a Batman person, would this be on the Mount Rushmore of runs?
Absolutely. A must read if you're a Batman person. This would
must
be
read. Put that on there as well.
Read. It's one of the main Batman detective stories where you actually see Batman being the world's greatest detective. You actually see the mob. Johnny Viti's in the book for a little bit. Alberto, Carmine. You see that mob side of Gotham. You see all of the villains because he doesn't know who the killer is. So he has to pretty much go and talk to every Batman villain you got, all the iconic ones. It's absolutely amazing. So put that on everyone's radar. If you want to order it on Amazon now or go to your local comic store, they'll probably have The Long Halloween in stock. That'll probably be the next comic book club with Jose. But yeah, she goes and talks to Carmine and he gives her the talk like you were supposed to be the heir. And in the beginning, that it was almost a House of the Dragon-esque scene. Lady Fox mentioned that right away, where she was like, he wants the girl to be the heir to his throne. And everyone else in the family is going to look at that a little crooked and they're going to be like, that's not really tradition. But he's like, listen, you got me. I'm the only person you need. I'm going to make you the fucking king of all this. And, everything the light touches will be yours. And he feels so betrayed that she would go and talk to the reporter. And on the way home, he has Penguin drive her home. He's like, yeah, get her out of here. They get pulled over. Penguin has to act like he doesn't know what's going on. He's yelling at the cops and shit. And you just know, oh, you're in for a lifetime of hell. And you start to add up. All right, this is why Penguin was so skittish when she walked into the room. And I thought you were at Arkham. It wasn't just because he was afraid of her. It wasn't just because she was a wild card. It was because this motherfucker sold her out. And as we saw last week, he's like, I don't regret it. A guy like me gets all this. He was very still in line with his actions. But now he's in a fucking world of pain when Sofia gets out of that situation with the Maronis and everything. She goes to Rush, her therapist. This show is now it's a what do they call it? A two-leg race. It's just two people gunning for the top of Gotham because by the end of the episode, then Sofia goes into the Falcone family. She makes a big scene. They're talking about, are you going to Italy? Are you not going to Italy? She gives that amazing speech at dinner where she's a wild card. She's got different eyeliner on too. They said that's kind of like her putting on her mask. Yeah. And she's got, more of a rugged look. She's got the yellow dress on. And then she takes the little girl from last week that her cousin was a little, scared of her being around the little girl. She takes her out of the house late at night. You're like, what's happening? She opens a window. She's talking to the little girl in the greenhouse all night about slumber parties. I used to sleep in the greenhouse with my brother and stuff. She goes back into the house at night, throws a gas mask on, and you realize she poisoned that fucking house. I don't know if it was carbon monoxide. I don't know if it was general gas poison, whatever it might have been. She takes the thing out of the ventilator system. Everyone's dead except Johnny Viti. She opened his window. So I don't know if she's going to pin it on Johnny Viti, if she's just going to use him as a pawn, use his connections, whatever. We'll find that out next week. But even that ending to the episode, it was like we got so many oh fuck moments from her finding out that Oz killed Alberto to her getting set up and the entire backstory of Carmine being the real Hangman. Huge oh fuck moment. Even the arrest was an oh fuck moment. Everything in Arkham was a 10, 15 minute, 20 minute oh fuck sequence. And then the ending of it being like, oh my God, She just did the all-time power play in Gotham, took out all of the Falcones. Now it's just her and Oz. Who is going to run the mob scene in Gotham with the triads and everyone? I mean, at this point, Batman might need to take notice. Like, I know we're saying you don't need Batman on the show. Is Batman going to be like, who the fuck killed all the Falcones? Like, they're really two birds with one stone for me. Batman's just chilling at the cave right now.
It's like, this is why I don't kill people. They usually end it themselves, and I get to have a clean sleep at night because I didn't murder anybody. No blood on my hands. That killing scene, or, you know, when you see that, realize that she killed all the people, but she had like the heart to let the little girl live, which obviously you love, even though she turned the little girl into an orphan. But hey, like, gotta crack some eggs and make an omelet, right? Like an omelet of revenge, who sent her to fucking Arkham for 10 years, all those people. And we did say we felt like Johnny Vitti was going to get like the good death that you remember. And it's trending that way. And I don't know which way it's going to go, but you tell, first of all, it's an oh fuck episode. It's an oh fuck episode. Oh fuck scenes. Oh fuck moments. Oh fuck sequence, like you said in Arkham for like 15 to 20 minutes. Oh fuck revenge. And I feel like the music was really good too, as you're kind of figuring it all out. I imagined it was like a carbon monoxide thing. I think it was in the boiler.
I thought so
or something like that. I don't know how it all works. And then I didn't realize, like, she opened the window when she was smoking the cigarette and just left it open in Johnny Vitti's room. And obviously she wants him alive, whether it's to torture him, to get stuff out of him, to pin it on him, whatever it may be. And the fact we have that bomb still up in the air, we have the bomb of her finding out about Alberto up in the air. But we also got all these moments where stuff we either like learned about or resolved. It's crazy, man. That's how you fucking TV right there. That's how you fucking TV. Excuse me. It's not TV. It's HBO. That used to be their tagline back in the day because it was elevated. And this shit is elevated. Just like, you know, all those old Wire, Sopranos, all those old great shows from back in the day. This is why it deserves that 9 p.m. slot on Sunday night and why it's an HBO show, not a Max show.
I like you talking about the bomb. Someday you just can't get rid of a bomb. You know what I'm saying?
I also got to say this, Julian, sus list. There's
major sus list. In the end, when she's getting close, they're getting like almost face to face, nose to nose. I didn't know if they were going to kiss or if she was going to kill him. She was saying, you know, you put me through it. You were part of it. And his role in that is interesting. She's like mad that he abandoned her in Arkham and couldn't look out for her. But it seems like he left because he didn't agree with everything the doctor was doing. So it's like, I still don't really know what to think of Julian, but absolute sus list.
Sus list all the way. It's like, keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. Like the guy, it's like when one guy's the bad guy and then there's a guy who's helping out the good guy. Is he the good guy? But sometimes he's worse than the bad guy, you know?
Sophia's almost the good guy at this point. It's almost like, I think we're just rooting for Sofia in the show. It's like, she's the protagonist. Like you said, Penguin, they make us like him and they try to lull us into this sense of like, he's a likable guy. We know by the end of the series, they're going to create a villain out of him yet again. This is kind of going to be his villain origin story, even though he was already in the Batman. You have to make us fucking hate that guy by the end and make us be like, there needs to be a masked vigilante that takes him down.
Yes, exactly.
4 episodes in, though, we got 4 episodes left. I said the bold statement of, and I don't think I'm even using hyperbole when I say this, if the next 4 episodes or even just the same quality as the previous 4. I'm not asking for better. The same quality as the first 4. I think this is going to be one of my favorite seasons of television ever. And I think I will go back and just rewatch this season. Like, especially as a Batman fan who just loves being in Gotham City. This is fucking everything I've ever wanted out of a Batman show. And I know they were talking about doing like a Gotham City Police show. They were talking about doing an Arkham Asylum show. Give me all of that as long as Matt Reeves is as involved as he is in this one. I'm ready to light the trust the Reeves sign in the basement and make it fucking illuminate like the bat signal itself.
Yeah, that's a good point. It does make the Batman better on the rewatches now, and it's going to make you more excited for part 2. And it's funny you said about like rewatching, because I think it was Jack Mack was like, he's like, all right, like how many of the Batmans do I have to watch? I was like, dude, it's just one. It's like 3 hours long. You just watch it at home. And I was like, and it's one of those movies. It's like grounded, just like the show. That's what I appreciate. It feels like the Batman where it's like, it's not over the top villainy. And I watch Batman Returns and Jim Carrey fucking like showing his asshole in your face is up. It's stuff that like feels like it could happen in real life if you were just really twisted, super smart person doing stuff, right? So it's awesome. It's everything. It's
smartly written, everything about it. Like this week felt like so many things just fell into place where it was stuff that you're like, I didn't predict that, but I probably should have, because everything that they've showed us has led to that point.
We're learning a lot about this, like we're learning about these characters and this world as it goes, and I think we'll have a better hand on it all. And I'm thinking, like, Sofia did this, and this is like masterpiece, the whole revenge plan where she kills everyone in their sleep. And I've mentioned this movie on the pod a bunch, and I'm going to say it again. It gave me big time Lucky Number 11 vibes, and I won't go into it for spoilers, but check that if that's one of my go-to, like, Clem, name a movie I haven't seen yet, or I probably haven't seen yet, that you'd recommend, and that's always at the top of the list. Prestige is one. Prestige is much more known to the public. Lucky Number 11 is two. Those are always my top two. So check out Lucky Number 11. I just love a good revenge.
It is a good movie.
You know? And two other things here. One, the word luncheon. We got to stop using that word. Did that trip you up? They said luncheon like 6 different times.
They did. They said it a bunch in this episode.
Or are we just going to have to learn that's how they talk in Gotham? Or
maybe that's a Gotham thing. Yeah, it's a popular phrase in Gotham.
And two, I don't want to, like, I feel like we've been a little more highbrow. We're talking Emmys. We're talking great television. And I don't want to put us down in the gutter, you know, because everyone looks at Barcel that way. But I got to just say it. Bonk me if you got it. Sofia, that yellow dress. I was going, ooga. All right. That's all I'm going to say.
They knew what they were doing.
They
knew exactly what they were doing. There was some tweet that said, like, they threw her in Arkham because her body was too much tea or whatever. I don't even know what the phrase is on Twitter, but it's all over Stan's Twitter. There was a funny tweet of Barry Keoghan's Joker from the end of Batman where they just show, like, his face for a second, and they're like, I know this guy was having a ball in Arkham. It makes me want, like, a Batman trapped in Arkham movie. That would be a fucking sick movie as well, where it's just all of the villains. I was almost expecting little cameos when she's walking past the cells. I'm almost glad they didn't do that. It would feel a little, like, cheap just pointing at the villains. Someone like Magpie showing up, that works. Like, even the doctors, if the doctor steps down, I could see Dr. Hugo Strange going in and being that. Like, there are Batman villains you could pull in that aren't just like, here's Mr. Freeze, here's Two-Face. Like, save those for the movie. Give us more grounded ones in the show, I think.
I feel like I heavy spoilers again. I think there was something with the headline about a fire, and they're like, oh, it could be this guy, but it's like very little.
Firefly, maybe?
Firefly, I believe, was the guy he mentioned. Or it could be like a name on a wall in the distance. Like, they don't hammer you over the head with it. And this is basically the nicest thing I could say. And I thought of this once you were saying how much it could be one of your favorite standalone seasons of TV. This kind of checks out in my book. And I know it was a little divisive. I think part of that was like the whole anti-woke bullshit. This is up there. It's not up there yet because I consider it one of the best single seasons of TV where there was no follow-up. And it's ironic because comic book as well. Watchmen. This is Watchmen. We're on the path of Watchmen right now.
Yes.
In my mind, which wasn't even, I don't know if we had said it before this season. I didn't think we were going to make it there. And I think we're on our way there, which is crazy to think about. Because think, dude, all this shit that Sofia did that was amazing. Oz has like found like wiggled his way out of all these pickles as well. It's kind of, and like they're on a collision course right now. And I think you've alluded to a bunch. Victor's in the goddamn target of these two collision courses. He's the train. He's the guy right in the middle of two trains going to a head, unfortunately.
I hope Sofia makes it out of the season. Like, I don't want to see her killed. I don't think she's going to be running Gotham by the end of it. I think there's a chance she gets set up again somehow by Oz and winds up back in Arkham or something. But I want her to continue. I mean, we don't even know if they're going to do a second season of this show. I know Colin Farrell's kind of like, listen, I'm real tired of putting that makeup on. Give me a little break. But we need a second season of this show after the Batman. Like, I hope they're rewriting the Batman to make sure Oz makes it out of that season alive too, because holy shit. Everything about this is amazing, right? I have no critique on episode 4 whatsoever. Everything about it was fucking great.
No notes. That's what the kids say.
No notes. We do have a sponsor to tell the people about, though, and that is HelloFresh, another company that I got no notes on. HelloFresh is the best. Make this fall season the tastiest season yet with farm-fresh produce and easy autumn-inspired recipes delivered right to your door with HelloFresh. Autumn is a good time for food that reminds you of that season. Obviously, you know, the summer, you get the hot dogs and hamburgers and shit. Once you get into fall, you get a little sophisticated. You work the veggies in, you work the sweet potatoes in, you get the Thanksgiving sandwiches. I know we're big fans of Thanksgiving sandwiches on this podcast. They've got everything you would want out of a fall menu on HelloFresh. They've got the proteins, the veggies, the sauces, the spices, and it's very simple. They'll give you the pre-portioned ingredients so you don't have anything left over once you make these. This stuff, it's the worst when you get a bunch of stuff and you only need a pinch of it in a recipe. It's sitting in your cabinet for a year and then you use it the next year. No, not with HelloFresh. Tons of options, whatever you're craving, over 100 market add-on items like desserts, breakfast, and snacks as well. I love HelloFresh. I've been using it for years. They've been a sponsor for years. We really appreciate that. And get 10 free meals at HelloFresh.com/free Fox. That's what they would be saying if I was locked up in Arkham. They'd say free Fox. So 10 free meals at HelloFresh.com/free Fox. It's applied across 7 boxes, new subscribers only, and it varies a little bit by plan, but it's 10 free HelloFresh meals by going to HelloFresh.com/free Fox. It's really, really good stuff. I swear by it. It's very easy to make. It's, as we've mentioned on the podcast, like a fun date night. If you got a girlfriend, a fiance, a wife, you guys make this stuff together. It's all simple. It's going to simplify it like it's a Lego set for you. So shout out HelloFresh. And now let's talk about Agatha All Along. We had episode 5 this week, Clem, and I've been recapping the episodes for you, kind of saying the show is fine. It's not something I look forward to like the Penguin every week, where I'm texting you on Sunday, oh my God, we got an episode tonight. It's sort of something that I remember I have to watch for the podcast.
Yep.
So I'm going in with a much different mindset. I actually thought this week was okay. It was a very short episode. Heavy spoilers tweeted about this as well. And it's like, I don't understand why Marvel keeps delivering 25-minute episodes when that's been the main criticism towards this stuff for years. Even beyond Marvel, just Disney Plus shows. Some of the Star Wars shows were like, right when the episode is picking up, The Acolyte had this issue. It's over. The credits hit at 20 minutes. And you're like, well, that's weird because it said 35 minutes on the runtime, but they got to give you the credits in every fucking language on earth. So this episode was okay. It was called Darkest Hour, Wake Thy Power. And we get a little bit of Agatha's backstory in this as well. Remember in WandaVision, you get a little flashback to her like killing the Coven of Witches in like 16, whatever, in Salem and her trial. We learn a little bit about the Salem 7, who they talked about in episode 1. They were coming after Agatha. Agatha was very worried about the Salem 7. We learned that the Salem 7 is actually the daughters of the witches she killed in WandaVision, which as soon as they said that, I was like, all right, I could fuck with that. I could kind of get in on that, their own revenge story. They all come out of the ground and they're animals. So like one comes out as a fox, one comes out as a fucking, I think one is an owl or something. And then they like turn into witches or whatever. They got the animalistic features. And Rio has been defended. Rio is Aubrey Plaza's character, who we think is Death. She's the only one kind of defending Agatha and what she did to their mothers. I think more hints that she is Death. When people are like, she killed so-and-so, Aubrey Plaza Death is like, it's not all bad. You know what I'm saying? And I think in the original WandaVision scene where she's on trial, there's a chance that she was on trial for giving up her son for the Darkhold. There's a lot of talk about that in this episode, giving up the son. We also find out she probably didn't give up the son when he was a baby, because she hears his voice a lot through this episode being like, Mom, please, no. So he's at least old enough to like beg for mercy, and she did it anyway, which makes her pretty fucked up. She takes a dark turn in this episode.
It's getting a little darker, it sounds like, as a whole.
It is. And that's sort of what I liked about this episode. It still had kind of like cheesy, like fun stuff later on, but I mean, I shouldn't even say later on, because the next scene is them creating witch brooms, which is a little cheesy, but it's like, if you're doing a witch show, you got to have a scene where they fucking fly on the brooms. They call them hexenbessons or hexabessons, I think, which is the German word for witch brooms. I was like, all right, I could fuck with that a little bit. They do the Latin chant. They have to like work together to make the witch brooms. And then there's a scene where they're flying. They do the ET shot where they're all flying with the moon silhouette in the background. And it's a red blood moon. Actually a cool shot.
Any laughs? Any witches laughs during that?
Yes. Aubrey Plaza does like the Wicked Witch. She literally does like that. So that was pretty. And she's the only one like having fun. Everyone's afraid for their lives. And she's laughing through all of it.
She's Death. She doesn't care.
She's Death. Exactly.
Yeah. She's like, I might get a couple of like check off a couple boxes here if these people fall off their brooms. Is there cauldrons as well? Cauldrons and hats?
Not yet. I bet we'll get to a cauldron. I don't think we got cauldrons yet.
Hats? Pointy hats?
Not yet.
Okay.
No.
I don't
fly-
want to stereotype people like Clem, please respect the witches. We do not know what Porny Hat said is the white male mainstream media has painted us with that picture.
They fly into one of the Salem Sevens called Vertigo, and this scene I hated. It has fucking cicadas coming out of her mouth and shit.
No.
Horrible. I hated that. And then the next trial that they go to is like 80s themed. So it's a cabin and it's like a sleepaway camp. There's board games. There's fucking everyone's got headbands on, perms. Another WandaVision inspired thing where you're giving us a different vibe for the episode. And the team loses the spell book at one point. He's going crazy. I think maybe Agatha stole his spell book, but they find a Ouija board. Classic 80s sleepover vibe, whatever. The Ouija board, the first thing that spells out is Mrs. Hart, which when they were spelling it out, I'm like, they just spelled out Mr. Shart. It was, I can't unsee that now. They spell out Mrs. Hart, aka Mr. Shart, and then they spell out death. And Rio's like smiling and laughing about it. And then Agatha becomes possessed by her mother. And when she's possessed, she's like on the fucking ceiling. They make her makeup look like The Exorcist, fucking Linda Blair. It's creepy. It's like actually a little bit scary. You're getting the Halloween vibes in this episode more than you have. And the mother, Evanora, is like coming back to punish Agatha. She tells her at one point, "You were born evil. I should have killed you the second you got out of the womb." It was like, oh, like again, we're going from like Hocus Pocus Disney Channel shit, and then there's a line like that, and you're like, oh my god, that got dark quick. And Alice, the Hot Topic witch, is trying to help her by pulling the possession, the energy out of her, but Agatha, in like a self-defense, hits her with magic back because she like got hit with magic, so she now has it, and she kills her. She fucking kills Alice, and it's like not something she wanted to do necessarily, but it's also not something she's like too bummed about. The other witches are going crazy about it, and the other witches are very upset. The Ouija board then spells Nicholas Scratch, which was like her son, and the teen says that name. So once he says the name, you know it's not his name because he can't say his own name. She gets very emotional, but also creepy. She kind of gets in the teen's face about it and mentions his mother and says, like, you're just like your mother. He possesses the other witches, throws Agatha into the mud, then throws the other witches into the mud. And then a crown forms on his head, and you see he's got magic in his hands, and it's blue magic, but it looks like Wanda's magic a little bit. He is confirmed as Wanda's child, Billy Maximoff, aka Wiccan, in this episode. So the ending is him forming a crown, and then Billie Eilish plays like the "You Should See Me in a Crown" song. Honestly, not a bad episode. Again, it's not like it wasn't amazing. I didn't even love the reveal. I felt that like the reveal was pretty obvious. I think we're even going to get an obvious death reveal at one point. But it's not a show that I'm dreading. It's just a show that isn't hooking me, you know?
That's a bonus, kind of where we were with Marvel. Clearly the opposite side of the spectrum of the Penguin these days, where
it's tough to compare them week to week as well. Like Marvel has a show that I would give like a 2 or 3 out of 10, and Penguin has a show that I would give a 10 out of 10 so far. So it's tough right now.
The Agatha's mom, worse than the mom in Blow, because I consider her the worst mom ever to grace the screen.
We're checking the list of like the random movies that come up on My Mom's Basement. Blow is definitely one of them. Not worse than the mom in Blow.
Not worse than the mom.
I mean, she's bad, obviously. She's possessing her daughter and saying, I should have killed you when you were a baby. Still not worse than the mom in Blow.
She wouldn't call the police on her, you know, when he's just trying to see his daughter. And she probably did say that to George Young. George, I wish I never had you. I wish I had aborted you when you were still in my womb. Yeah, fucking cocksucker.
Yeah. So Agatha is a step up this week from last week. But yeah, I can't recommend it like I can the Penguin.
I have to say that, like, this is kind of eye-opening to me that it's like Marvel versus DC. Like now Marvel has to look across the aisle. We've talked about this a bunch. It's like the Monday Night Wars with the wrestling. Now there's 2 companies, and they might not be in direct competition, but like tit for tat. And at some point, it's going to be like, shit, like these guys stepped their game up. We got a match. And now, like, new guy came in town, and we got NWO going on over there. We already got Penguin. We already got Batman. We have all this stuff that's hitting. And hey, Marvel still is, they have some winners, Guardians, which unfortunately is James Gunn's thing, but they've had some good movies over the time and some TV shows here and there. But they're playing from behind right now. We mentioned this. I don't think we brought it up on an episode. Green Lantern just filled the role with the guy from Rebel Ridge, which we both love. What's his name again? Do you know his name?
I don't remember his name.
He's guy from Rebel Ridge. I wanted to know his name here, but I said to you, this feels like back in the
Aaron Pierre.
This feels like the Monday Night Wars where you'd hear this guy sign with this company, be like, oh shit, and they're probably having bidding wars, and like Marvel wanted him for this character, DC wanted him for this character, and that's a big ass character that DC has not done a good job filling, at least for a casual like me. I don't know if they have had any good stuff, that I haven't watched.
He looks like Jon Stewart too. Like
he looks like him.
Those bright eyes. I think he has green eyes, and they're like, it looks like I can imagine them glowing, with that Green Lantern power. And that's the fucking show based on True Detective, and it's written by fucking Damon Lindelof, the guy who did Watchmen.
Where it's DC's in a good fucking play. I don't know what
did you see the Crypto, the Superdog stuff this week? We got fucking Crypto based on James Gunn's dog, and he posted this nice thing about his dog and how it inspired Crypto. The way James Gunn writes animals is the best. No other people care about animals like James Gunn.
Bob, remember when I said we need DC to have, I don't think it was this year, I think it was the year before, right? Like a winning record or something like that. You know who DC reminds me of right now? If it was a football team, look at that hat you're wearing right now. They're the Mandos.
We got Jaden.
They got Jaden. I feel like either James Gunn's Jaden, the Penguin show is Jaden, the Batman universe is Jaden. I don't know.
There's hope right now.
There's hope going on.
Yeah, and there hasn't been hope for a long time.
A very long time. And then you kind of makes you believe, hey, listen, this guy that we had under Ron Rivera sucked, or this rookie we got, like, hey, we got Jaden and we got these other guys, and it's making everything else at least look or seem better, which is like half the fucking battle is getting into the fans' minds.
And Clem, we got rid of Snyder.
Wow.
That's crazy. What an analogy.
Look at Bob Fox. After all these bad sports analogies I've made to him that most of the time he didn't even understand, he just came up with the best one. Got rid of a Snyder and brought in someone for hope. The Mandos. DC, let's go.
We got hope, and we got a lot of hope in next week. I'm excited to come back in the basement next week and break down another episode of Penguin. I'm even excited to break down another episode of Agatha for you. Penguin's so good, it's like, fuck it. This is all cherry on top.
It's beautiful, and it's kind of like Tale of Two Cities, right? It's like, it really is fun to be like, and now here's the show that Clem won't watch, and Robbie doesn't hate watching, but doesn't love it. And it kind of just shows kind of where the two stand. And it's a kind of a bad break for Marvel, a great break for DC. But hey, I'm telling you, 2025 moving forward, I think both are going to have the fire under their ass to bring the fucking heat, lack of a better term.
Absolutely. And they're putting the fire under our ass to bring the heat on my mom's basement. Let's go. So we will see you next week for another Penguin Agatha recap.